Next speaker is Kathryn Merlot.
I am here tonight to speak with you about the election fraud that took place during the Measure B campaign. As I am sure you are now aware, our city is currently being investigated by the Fair Political Practices Commission for illegally funneling $50,000 of public funds into the Yes on Measure B campaign. I have read the City Attorney's report regarding the election fraud. She admits that the donation should not have been made, but the tone of her report implies there was no intentional wrongdoing. The whole fraud thing, it was just a little whoopsie that can be cleared up by a few Brown Act training classes. However, as a Burbank voter, I do not consider the misappropriation of public funds to be a harmless little mistake. And I am not at all pleased that my city government, which is supposed to remain neutral during political campaigns, interfered in the Measure B election by paying for propaganda literature with public money. And I find it unbelievable that this illegal transfer of funds and the Brown Act violations that occurred to keep that transfer hidden from the public were accidental mistakes. Instead, I believe they were intentional acts designed to sway Burbank voters into voting yes on Measure B. And here's a little story that might help explain my disbelief. After the cell tower fight, the members of Save Burbank Neighborhoods got together, and we discussed the idea of becoming a not-for-profit organization. And in many ways, this seemed like a good idea for our little group. All the donations that private citizens contribute to web hosting fees or T-shirt printing would become tax deductible. But in the end, we decided against becoming a nonprofit. And the reason we made that decision was because we wanted to have a citizen voice in city elections. We wanted to be able to endorse candidates and send out flyers. And we knew that we couldn't do that if we were a nonprofit organization. Now, I think it bears mentioning that the members in our group, they're animators and artists and actors, trumpet players and teachers, nurses and secretaries and managers and engineers, not a lawyer in the bunch. But we didn't need a lawyer to tell us that it would be a conflict of interest for a nonprofit to take sides in a political campaign. In fact, we didn't even need to Google it because it's common knowledge and it's common sense, which is why I find it completely unbelievable that the board members of a not-for-profit corporation would not know that it is illegal for nonprofits to contribute to political campaigns. And it is equally unbelievable to me that high-ranking city employees whose job it is to liaison between public and private organizations would also be unaware of that conflict of interest. I simply don't believe that that many people were that stupid. Which leaves me with this uncomfortable reality. The Yes on Measure B folks ran a corrupt and dirty campaign. They abused public trust, they spread misinformation, and they misused $50,000 of public funds. And our community development director was complicit in this. The misappropriation of that $50,000 wasn't some cute little community whoopsie. It was election fraud. It was illegal, and it was morally wrong. And in light of that corruption, Measure B should be repealed. Sadly, it looks like our city is more interested in promoting their pro-development big business agenda than it is in protecting the election rights of our citizens. But thank goodness for the courage and the conscientiousness of ordinary people like David Spell, Greg Sousa, and Amanda Beers-Melcher, because they are our true watchdogs and the true advocates of Burbank residents. Thank you.
Next.